What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a peek over here at the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market. As we all can tell, we've seen a nice little bounce over here on Bitcoin. For those who've been watching the channel, we've been studying this for the last 2 months, anticipating an ABC correction coming out of Bitcoin, getting us down into the green box. Sure enough, look at that. We've got a nice little pop heading out of there. Could our cruel summer be wrapping itself up? We'll take a look at a few things that I've been bringing up over there in Markets in the Morning and a few other things that I'm looking at. Now, the concept of this has been a similar ABC correction to what we've seen Bitcoin do multiple times before. We actually even saw the same behavior exhibited in here back into the B leg where meme coins were hyped up. Pretty much anybody could create a contract address on Ethereum and people would start throwing money at it. We all know about the content creator out there on Twitter who raised over like $10 million just by saying, hey, send me money and I promise I'll make a token. People did it. A lot of people did it. And that's typical behavior of what we have seen in these excessive moments into these retracements. This one right here is from the peak back in April and May of 2021. This one's from back in 2020 before we really started the bull run to kick off. And this one, people were so wrong-footed that everybody on Twitter was screaming manipulation when the price fell. And this one, obviously, everybody was chasing meme coins. And this was no different. But we worked our way down. We've now bounced back up. We've talked about capitulation happening in these, that it wasn't expected that we would have as deep of a capitulation as we had back in 2020 nor in 2021. And that the structures we had been watching in here were similar to that of what happens is we're working out a bottoming process happening in here that will typically kind of build in here, have a squeeze to the upside to come back and slam and test. So demand story was true over here as well, that we had the same thing where in our bottoming, we'll have a breakout of somewhat of a short squeeze to happen in here and then come back down and test. And when we last talked about timing on this, we really talked about timing here back in early June. We're now late into June. And in this said, hey, if timing is anything, maybe like, late June or something along those lines. And well, here we are. We've now gotten ourselves to bounce our way out of here. Looking over here, moving a little bit ahead of schedule if that was the case. But still, both of these are the same things. We just have a slightly deeper dip down in here. But again, right, the big test, one more test happening in here. This one holds. This one over here barely holds as well. But we got a little bit more of a dip in ours currently. And then goes back and reclaims that whole level in both of these, right? So this gets reclaimed. And then over here, this also gets reclaimed. And so we can see that is what we have done currently right now for Bitcoin. So that puts us somewhere around here as we're now starting to work our way back up. Now, as we sit here, I've brought this up in Markets in the Morning that where we are right now in the depths of this market is pretty much exactly where C19 happened back in 2020. We've gone through this many times that when we look back here, this was where the peak of the market happened in crypto. This is Laser Eyes, Diamond Hands, Wall Street Bets, Elon Musk. All the chaos of the market happened in here, and this is also where a lot of the altcoins topped. In addition, as we were trying to figure out a bottom to happen for Bitcoin, everybody's screaming for 10 to 12K. We had been talking about super cycles the whole way up. That's why we were not shocked to see Bitcoin top here, that it would have been this ending phase of a super cycle in here, but instead getting somewhat of a extended or expanded flat to happen. And that our correction and ending in here was similar to us being that far into a bear, and that our peak had started back here and that we were in the depths of it, and that our moves down that we had ended up being equivalent lengths in here. For those who were here through all of 2022, you undoubtedly saw this a million times. What do you know? It was right. But it also pointed back to this has been the peak of the market back in April and May of 2021. And we could see that when you go through like all the altcoins, you're going to find some that set new highs there in October, November, December of 2021. But the vast majority of them peaked out back here in April and in May when this happened for Bitcoin. And where we sit currently at this exact moment is the amount of time we were at when C19 hit. So part of me, of course, PTSD, just trying to get through this moment. The class of 2018 to 2020 probably remembers what that was like. And while the setup that happened for Bitcoin back then was somewhat like this. And right now, this morning, we have shifted higher than that. But this was the kind of setup we had before magically C19 just showed itself up. So we're welcome to stall ourselves out here. It seems that would be the normal case to do. We've actually gotten our way back up into retracement levels. This is the 702 Fibonacci retracement level where we just found some resistance at. That was also the same case back in here, that it had gotten back to the 702 Fibonacci retracement and then stalled out. But of course, there's going to be just a little bit of caution in there for me right now. Maybe unjustified. This obviously was an event of its own, but I think a lot of people who are here will just never forget what it was like. Otherwise, the ideas that we've had on the channel, the things we've talked about the last 2 months, working our way back down in here, the amount of time it would take and the structure it would take to form a bottoming structure happening in here, guess what? Look where we are. That it would point to that the cruel summer would be coming to a completion here pretty soon. If we're going to continue behaving as we have, it would indicate a stall out here for a couple of weeks, maybe not that long. But something to kind of keep in mind here, that the move that we saw today, if it's still continuing that, if all of this stuff is correct and still in play, kind of get an idea on where we are now and how the idea has progressed so far. So while ABCs are relatively measurable and predictable, working our way back up, these are where variations will come into play. This is going to be much more difficult for me to say, here we go, I think we're going to go to this green box, this green box, this green box on the way up. It's not as simple as that as it is with ABCs. As you can see, not a single wick escaped any green box, and each green box did behave as resistance and support, which we tracked over here on Twitter prior to us hitting the first green box, and then watching every move since then as it went from one to the next, and then finally, here we go, we get our way in, and now out. It won't be that simple on the way up, but for those who have followed the structure, we went through ABC, we went through everything. The phase that we just entered, should we be escaping it, is that we are now wrapping up cruel summer. So congrats to those who survived. I think if we just kind of look at how these last ABCs have played themselves out in here, if we kind of want to just make observations of what happened on the way up, it's that we shouldn't be pulling way deep down again, right? That this breakout was kind of the breakout to happen in here, that this broke out and then it didn't come back down to really retest these lows right now, right? That this is an ABC correction in an uptrend. The uptrend is going to continue. Maybe one day later, months from now, it comes back and hits that when another bear kicks in. But right now, if this is a break up move, that we should kind of sustain this strength happening in here and not be revisiting back into the mid 26,000s. If we start revisiting back into the mid 26,000s, then it starts kind of opening up this can of worms of why are we not maintaining that strength in there? Why are we pulling back down? We've kind of seen that happen before. If we pulled all the way back down, something was afoot. So for now, so long as we're sitting there holding and really just kind of staying above $27,000, we could maybe start considering that the cruel summer is over. As for the altcoin market, the story is same over there. We've been watching Wyckoff accumulation taking place over here in the altcoin market, similar to what we had back in 2016. First profit take, attempt at new high, correction, same size correction showing up in here, same behavior happening in here. Fall, ABC, fall, ABC, fall, then proceed into Wyckoff accumulation, that we're reaching the end. In markets in the morning, we've been studying Wyckoff accumulations all over the altcoin market. You could see very clear the creak, the break, the creak, the break of spring happening over here on things like Atom and these coins that got deemed as securities by the SEC. You got Bitcoin Cash taking a stab to the upside today. One of my theses on Bitcoin Cash from the beginning was that Bitcoin Cash is absolutely not a security. It was a fork of Bitcoin in 2017. EDX, an institutional crypto exchange backed by Fidelity, Citadel, and Charles Schwab, is now live with 4 coins. What's included in there? Bitcoin Cash. Dan from Crypto Capital Venture cracks a joke. Make sure Bitcoin Cash gets a pass. To be fair, that's always been the thesis on Bitcoin Cash. It's always been available on Coinbase since it came out back in 2017. Coinbase only had 4 coins. They had Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. That's all they were willing to take the risk on in the crypto market to list in 2017. Then eventually when Bitcoin Cash came out, they did list Bitcoin Cash, making it the number 4. Then you see Bitcoin Cash on Robinhood. You see it over there on PayPal. You see it on every single exchange because it was a fork of Bitcoin. It was airdropped into any wallet that had Bitcoin at the time in 2017. But again, getting that kind of nod of reassurance there for Bitcoin Cash. And you look over here, you see Litecoin as well, up also listed as one of those too, right? Again, Bitcoin Cash as well in this accumulation schematic for the past year. We'll see what comes of that. And then all eyes on Ethereum to see if that was the extent of its spring, as we clearly have seen completed over here on Bitcoin Cash, and what appears to have already been completed over here on Atom or Cosmos. As for XRP, somewhat of a milestone as well, as we've been talking about, being the similar amount of time there for the crypto market when C19 hit back in 2020. We have recognized that this whole crash, retrace, reaccumulation has been the same as the crash, retrace, reaccumulation from back in 2014 to 2017. That in this reaccumulation phase and this correction phase, these corrections were the exact same percentages, coming in at 85.5%, hitting themselves right on the button here for the same size. Well, what was interesting about right now is where we sit in regards to time. So kind of a milestone for XRP in here, still just ranging after attempting to break out once the Hinman emails were released. Hard to say anything is actually happening here as it's continuing to range. Just an observation. Hey, look at that. That full time has completed in there. If Bitcoin's in its breakup back into a retracement, if the altcoin market's coming out of Wyckoff Spring, sounds like a good a time as any for something to come for XRP. And of course, we all know we're just waiting for summary judgment at any moment right now. How about that timing, huh? So that move that we just saw in Bitcoin, that might have been the end of Cruel Summer. Now we just need to see it maintain itself above $27,000 for the next week or two, and then we can be cheering for another leg to the upside. So, all right, there we go. Quick little update today. I know we've been spotty on the videos for the last week. I have been putting in 15-hour days over here recording videos for newbcbacker.com course. It's just taking a tremendous amount of time. I'm trying to get this thing across the finish line by the end of this week. And then hopefully by next week, we're just right back into our grind. Markets in the morning with a video 5 days a week. I've just been working on this thing for 3 months, which is why you guys have seen spotty videos for several months. Currently, that thing right now, it's at 32 videos long. It's over 10 hours of content. And I'm hoping to have it wrapped up pretty soon. And when we're right back into the normal grind here on the YouTube channel. So that is coming soon, fortunately. Otherwise, things are looking optimistic out there in the market with the move that we just saw. Let's hold that $27,000 for Bitcoin. And hey, maybe we have sunshine and rainbows ahead of us and the cruel summer's behind us. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.